We were about 4 years ago, we showed a movie, and this has been a 5-year deal. And they've done everything they could to stop it, as they did this with the Passion of the Christ. About 4 years ago, we showed it in a theater. There was like 5 viewings, and in each viewing, they were always talking during this one part, the audience. And I thought, maybe there's something wrong. I'd never seen that before. And about 1,500 people at the end, I spoke to them, and I asked them, what that was, and they all yelled out Epstein Island. And then I said, oh, okay, now I understand. We're shining a light on something they don't want shined on. And, this has been around for a long, long time. Biblically, it's been around, what they did to children during the time of Moses, and again during the time of Jesus. Yes. And what we've been doing now. 27 days now, they're going to be able to kill a baby 27 days after they're born. Why would you kill a baby 27? Why would you kill a baby anyway? But why 27 days? Now, they always talk about the mother's right to choose, the mother, in case of the mother's life's in danger. So now think about it. Baby's next to her. Doctor walks in, puts a sword through the child, kills it. Does the mother become healthy because of that? How does that work? And then I talked to Tim Ballard immensely about organ harvesting. This trafficking is just the beginning of this whole thing. It's an 8-armed octopus, and if you take just trafficking out, that arm will grow back. You have to take the head, and we're talking grooming. We're talking about pornography, because pornography procures more pedophiles, and yes. Then it's a nonstop cycle. So this is a culture that has to be reawakened. And I don't know, and I've said this many times, more people now are more afraid of the devil. Christians, I'm talking about Christians now, more afraid of the devil than they are of God. I look to the biblical St. Paul. I look to St. John the Baptist. Both got their head taken off. That's okay with me. Paul says to live is Christ, to die is gain. Well, I know I'm going to die someday. And everything that I have on this earth, the Rolex watch that I have, is not going to float up into the heavens. It's all junk up there. I know one day I'm going to be there in front of that loving God, and I'm going to give everything I have for him. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Or are we just supposed to sit back and stay on the fence? And as my friend says, the devil owns that fence. Lukewarm Christianity, that's not Christianity. And so we're the ones that have to lead, because it has to come from the people, and it has to come from a spirit where we're fearless. And when love comes in the heart to such a level that you would die for it. But wouldn't you die for your children at least? Maybe you wouldn't die for your republic. You wouldn't die for your country. Okay, fine. But what about your children? Would you just hand them over? And so America right now, and the world, when they see this, they're being reawakened, because the media has lied too many times. And this is the strand that broke the camel's back. That's what you're seeing right now.
So Jim, 2 minutes left in this segment. The media is trying to smear the film, call it QAnon adjacent, seducing America, all that nonsense. That is nothing more than the enemy mobilizing unclean spirits, principalities of darkness against the light. You are fulfilling Ephesians 5:11, have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Jim, can you just give us a little bit of a window from your experience and your understanding? How widespread is child sex trafficking in Hollywood?
That one I'll talk about in the future. That one, it's a good question. It's there. I'll talk about it more in the future. My stuff came more from the agents and the guys that I've worked with. And screaming of children is well, there's something in me that says that ain't going to happen on my watch, because I have a father that's inside my heart, and I'll go after these bastards. And it's okay to be that. And that's why the line's in there. Better a millstone being hung around their necks, that they be cast into the sea, that they should ever hurt one of these little ones. And that's what's coming for them. It's going to be a wrath on them. There will be no forgiveness, because this is the rejection of the Holy Spirit. It's the only unforgivable sin.
So, Jim, we only have a minute in this segment, then we have another segment just right after. Can you just give us a little insight? How successful has Sound of Freedom been in the last week and a half?
Well, it could have been a lot bigger, and I wanted it to be bigger. But you guys in the news, the good news, and the people are the ones that are keeping this thing going. And I think the other side is, I was doing interviews for 3 weeks, and nothing was even mentioned. They just ignored us the whole time. In fact, a friend of mine in Seattle said, I don't know if it was the Seattle PI, I think it was, where they listed films that were opening up and we weren't even listed. And we were going to win the box office and we weren't even listed. So there's a group of people that want to make sure that this isn't around. I don't know if this segment goes, I don't, go ahead and interrupt me.
Just hold that thought. We have 20 seconds, but I encourage people to go to angel.com/Jim. If you've already seen the film and you have the resources to do it, go bring 2 friends and see it again. We must make this film the #1 film in America for as long as possible. I believe it is a moral good the more you support this film. Instead of going out to dinner, go see the movie again, Sound of Freedom. Stay right there.
I was talking about the media and they're ignoring the stories. I'll give you a perfect example. On April 26, Ms. Rodas gave sworn testimony, and I've used this many times. 85,000 children have crossed the border and disappeared. That's sworn testimony. That's also evidence that has been submitted. And I talked to Tim, and he says it's actually much bigger than this. But anyway, the next day, I think that's newsworthy. And the next day in the news, nothing, absolutely nothing. And so, but we've seen this over and over again in the media. You said ivermectin's bad. That's listed under the NIH. Hydroxychloroquine is bad for us. That's listed under the NIH. Adrenochrome, that's not true. It's C9H9NO3. This is a chemical compound that is absolutely listed. It's been around in modern science since the 1930s. You can actually, there's a synthetic form and there's a regular natural form, which is caused by torturing little kids to get their adrenaline up, essentially, and then extracting it from them. When you sit and meet, and so I brought this up a few years ago, and all of a sudden I was attacked by every media. Look it up. It's there. They absolutely went after me. And the next day, I never heard from my agency for 14 months. My lawyers let me go. My agency never called me after that. And essentially I was done. And so when we go and do movies like this, you spend a great deal of time with agents, working with them. I didn't realize the connection, though, to my industry and to Epstein Island and all of that. But obviously there is. And I couldn't sleep for 2 years after doing that movie. 2 years, in the middle of the night, horrible nightmares. Something hard that happens to you in your life, you can either fade away or turn and fight. And I've decided to fight back because those precious children are God, and I give my life for God.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
many kids you found?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's going to pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time with a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana?
Te lo prometo.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into her room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be at Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do,